energy sector. It's very minor. So, yeah, so recently energy came under the spotlight, and when you have something under the spotlight, you start seeing good things, but also not so good things, and that's what I would like to stress in my presentation.
It's slowly coming.
Okay, it's still faster than our energy transition. I could have changed the title of my presentation, slowly coming, or as Irish say, starting, prepare to start. It's also not like that.
I think usually have 5 words.
Okay, maybe we can just maybe
control.
I can tell some more economic jokes in the meantime. Yeah? Yeah. It's like this. Oh, that's very good. That's Spanish, yeah. So I will start from the positive things and end up with positive as well, just as in maybe defend the bachelor, master, or PhD thesis. Okay, I still don't see.
Yes.
Must be some Russian sabotage, I guess, yes?
Yes, maybe I shouldn't have included some slides with some bad words about our Eastern neighbor.
So, while we are solving the technical solve, it looks like it's started again.
Yes, it's okay. Yeah, so I will start with positive things, and we did pretty good, I would say, during COVID pandemics. We suffered very little, and we recovered very fast, and the recovery was broad-based, primarily driven by 3 factors. One is our manufacturing sector, which did very well, and we used this opportunity that many companies went from just-in-time to just-in-case production mode, and we didn't have scattered supply chains all over the world, and we showed our flexibility and agility, and not the first time we did this, so this is a good inspiration for us, also talking about energy sector, how fast we can do things when someone is really urging us to do it politely. There is a saying with kicking something with someone. And then obviously the second is IT sector. Our IT sector also flourished, and our exports of high-tech services actually increased much faster than our GDP, and now we export more compared to GDP than you average countries. Like, for example, we overcame Finland in the last years, which is a huge achievement given that some years ago we had Nokia, now we have no Nokia. And we have not only like attracting investors from abroad, but also creating our own companies. We have many startups, which also shows our agility and our flexibility. So this is a positive thing, and which also should give inspiration for our energy transition as well. And the third thing was the housing sector. We know how to build things. We build it really fast, and we move synchronously. Yeah, when we build. Everyone builds, basically, be it construction company, energy, whichever company we build, then no one builds like after 2009, since 2015, so no one builds, but we know how to build. So it's nice, because we know we have this flexibility, agility, we know we have our IT skills, high-tech services skills, and we know how to build things. And we saw that this light on then the tunnel was coming, but it was not a light. It was a train coming from the east, and from our history, the train is coming from the east. You should not expect anything very positive. And the narrative in the east, and also to some extent in the west, is as follows: that Ukraine, Russia is fighting the EU on three fronts, and first opened in Ukraine, then there was military invasion, and then EU imposed sanctions, and then as a result of these sanctions, also energy sector suffered, and as a result we have high energy prices. If you read even like Financial Times, newspaper, Western, sometimes they still keep this narrative, even though is it correct or not? Of course it's not, because I'm asking it should be not correct, but obviously it's not correct, because the sequence is as follows. First we have energy, energy war started between Russia and European Union, and then conflict started. So basically Russia was preparing for this conflict by pushing European Union into the corner, and only then European Union imposed sanctions. Not immediately after the conflict started. They imposed actually on Monday. Yeah, on Friday they imposed some, but markets, it's not the sanctions, it's the same nonsense that you had since 2014. And then this is just graph, this is a gas price graph, you all well know it, and it illustrates that all these price jumps have happened all way before the war in Ukraine started. Yeah? At first, because Russia left storage facilities half empty, not half empty, but those that they control themselves with Gazprom. And then they started cutting off gas through Poland, etc. And then you had this culmination, like Russia invades, and the highest prices we had in August. And after August, markets said, okay, we don't expect anything from Russia. And then somehow they calmed down. They calmed down, but also because the storage facilities were filled, but that's basically the sequence of the events. And it's pretty unlikely that these gas flows will ever start flowing from Russia. It could be that we will still have some, because the European Union formally haven't imposed import embargo from Russia of natural gas, which is actually, in my opinion, very bad, because we can still use the strategy divide and rule, and let's say export some gas to some more friendly European Union countries in exchange for whatever. But basically markets calculate in that there's probably no hope that anytime soon there will be some substantial increase of gas imports, and that's why Europe is struggling now to find alternative gas supplies, also filling up gas storages, and also reducing consumption. Unfortunately, due to a lack of common agreement, the European Union is saving energy they're not saving through households, basically they are saving through industry mostly. So the savings are that just companies just shut down production, and that's how we save. And for households, politicians come and say, oh no, you shouldn't save because we compensate you. I think, especially Germans compensate a lot. They even lowered the gasoline prices in summer so that people would relax during the summer holidays and don't think about any energy costs. French, of course, they do the same. And only us, Lithuanians and other poor East Europe, Central European countries, we are Northern European officially. We actually, this doesn't help, we actually save a bit, because most of some part of this cost increase are being passed to consumers. And obviously, we cannot turn our ship 180 degrees very fast. I was talking with this conference also many times, and writing on social media about these things even well before that started. And yeah, that the European Union increased actual dependence from Russia over the last decade, and some dances were present. You see some weddings, and everyone were very happy, and especially we were happy when we got after these dances some jobs, very well-paid jobs in Russian state-owned energy companies. And as a result, the budget revenues for Russia were record high over the first half of this year, because we were preparing for this, and they got a lot of money. And to add the fuel to a fire, higher gas prices, you all know, they result in high electricity prices, because these markets are interconnected with each other. So whenever gas prices go up, electricity prices also go up. So the only way how we can cut this dependence is to reduce, first of all, gas consumption, and then obviously reduce the amount of electricity produced from gas. Of course, we can put more subsidies, but this will not help, because if you put extra billion of subsidies, trillion, this will not increase the amount of gas, because you don't need subsidies, you need gas. Yeah, this is very obvious for most of us, but not for European politicians. We still think that you can solve things by just promising subsidies. Okay, you can actually increase the amount of gas by providing subsidies. If you provide more subsidies than your neighboring country, yeah, so you basically compete with each other. So the country which provides more subsidies probably will have more gas. In this case, Germany, and for other countries, it's not going to end up very well. And on top of that, we also did not disregard what's happening in oil markets. You know that since 2016 we have not OPEC competition, OPEC plus. OPEC plus means OPEC plus Russia. So now Saudi Arabia and Russia, they both are very good friends, not very good maybe, but good friends. And they are controlling the market, and they are, once price starts dropping, Saudi Arabia says, no, we will decrease supply, and as a result we will keep those prices quite elevated. And on top of that, Europe is dependent on gas oil, and for Lithuania is also bad news, sorry for that, because most of our cars are on gas oil, because it was cheaper, because the taxes were cheaper, so I don't know why, for many years, and now you see that this is more expensive. It can get way more expensive since 5th of February, when embargo of gas oil from Russia will come into effect. And Europe still imports around 50% of gas oil from Russia. Yeah, so talking about Lithuania, we did good things. So this is spotlight. Basically, the positive thing is that we did our homework, some of the homework we did, especially in the gas market. We have our LNG terminal, so we are not afraid to basically live without Russian gas. And we even had a good actually promo, yeah, because we were the first officially country to reject like Russian gas, yeah. So we were a bit late, because probably Russia will announce very late. We will be the last country to whom Russia will cut out gas, because we still haven't done that, yeah. Yeah, so it was like, who is first, yeah? And for Poland, Polish were very unfortunate, yeah? Because Poland somehow were late 2 weeks, and then Russia said, we will cut gas to Poland. You know, before they said that we will not buy them from Russia. So basically we were pretty lucky. Also oil and electricity were okay, kind of. We also said that, okay, we can live without. And very well with electricity, but okay, but because we imported some of the electricity, okay, but let's talk about this. And that's the positive side. The negative side is that we import a lot of energy. Our industry is very highly energy intensive. We did our renovation, but okay, we basically didn't do enough homework to limit our dependence on energy imports, and as a result, our trade balance is going south, and this all started affecting overall economy. Estonia is slightly better positioned because they have shale oil, and Lithuania actually has the biggest volatility, because in 2020, during COVID crisis, we did very good. Yeah. We were importing cheap electricity, and we were telling, you know, those crazy Swedes, yeah, they are subsidizing with renewables, etc. And we just import, yeah, it's much easier for us and much cheaper. But now, the opposite happened, and the problem is, if you look at the longer history, obviously you know that we actually, after closure of Ignalina nuclear power station, which actually allowed us to be net exporter of electricity, we didn't invest too much into renewable energy. Despite many conferences and discussions and talks, we were kind of slow, and now we have a huge deficit. Yeah, so we are dependent on energy imports, and Lithuania and Luxembourg are two countries that have such a huge dependence, as you can see here, and basically the whole Baltic region is actually also deficit region. So that's a challenge, because Latvians, Estonians were not much better. Okay, Estonians have this shale oil, but basically if you have spare capacity, it comes from gas. And as a result, we are dependent on Sweden, which has huge overcapacity. We basically can export a lot of electricity. So what we have to do, obviously, all together, all Baltic states, to increase generating capacity and not remain this isolated island within the European Union. Because this decision was partly correct, or not correct at all. If you close the nuclear station, you need to invest in some alternative capacity. We didn't do that, and our dependence on Russia and Belarus was quite high. And also on top of that, we still, this crisis showed that we don't have enough power in electricity connections, because prices in our time zone, in our price zone, are relatively higher than in southern Sweden, and in Estonia also it's slightly higher than in Finland. Yeah, so this is not enough connection capacity, and as a result, as it was already mentioned during the introductory speech, we pay slightly higher price than most in the region. Yeah, obviously this is not only our fault. Let's say if you look at Sweden, southern Sweden has way higher prices than southern Sweden. Yeah, so again, even within the country, there is not enough capacities, and when crisis hit, so those connectors were overloaded. So this is actually a good kind of summary where we have to improve, and we can improve. I will end it positively, because one of the good examples how Lithuania did was in transforming our biofuel, our heating sector towards biofuel. We went from 0 to hero in just 10 years. And actually I was surprised myself. I think it was exceptional year, but we were actually, according to Eurostat, we are second in the European Union, just behind Sweden actually. I expected Estonia to be above us, so it's very good Estonian promo that they do, yeah, PR. But it's not the case, yeah. But many people still think that it's Estonia first. It's okay, no problem with that. But basically, we all of us are among the leading. Yeah. So basically, this is an example also that we should follow and do with electricity. The same thing, and we can do it because our density population is not high. We don't consume a lot of electricity, and we have a lot of free spaces, forests, fields. Try to do it in Netherlands or in Belgium. It's more difficult, yeah, and Luxembourg, because we have just more capacity. And also don't forget this reduction of oil consumption. This should be also our priority, because if normally Sweden will transform the transport sector and other sectors away from oil and gas, and we will get stuck with this, then we will be hit in the future more than they, and they will not care too much. They will say, oh, it's your problem, so we should also consider this already. And also, from a political point of view, we should not subsidize, especially households and also businesses to some extent. We need to find a balance. Probably this balance has been found, so just to compensate 50% of increase above certain threshold. So to also keep incentive for households and for businesses to invest also. This is of course balance. In short term, we need to support, but in longer term, for longer term, we need also to keep some incentives. Like in France, for example, in Spain, even in Germany, they don't have such a huge incentives as we have. So we actually can really push forward more with this energy transformation than these countries. Since if you look at the futures contracts, what is expectation of gas prices, you see next winter will also be quite tough, and then we have 2024-25 also like kind of so-so, and only then gas prices are expected to gradually decline, but they will still remain around 2 times higher than before the crisis, unless something really dramatic changes will be in Russia especially. So this incentive will be for time being, and we have time to do our homework. So when the next crisis comes, and then we have 15-year anniversary of this conference, we can be proud as just as we are now with transforming our heating sector. And of course, rising costs can hinder this development, so there can be also some help from government, because this will become increasingly bigger headache, especially next year compared to the energy price shock. But I think we can manage again these two things. And the final is to remind you that we are fighting with all 3 fronts. Yeah, we are helping Ukraine to fight in this war, and at we also have to do our part in energy, because energy is probably second or maybe even the most important front in which we are fighting against Russia. Yes, thank you and have a nice anniversary.
Presentation, and coming back to the development of generation capacities, renewables especially. So probably everybody would not agree more with the fact that we need to develop that. But as we all know, in Lithuania we have very big restrictions on development of renewables. We have a cap on development of solar energy of 2 gigawatts, just essentially taken out of the sky more or less. As a result of that, we have no developments for essentially half a year. Everybody is saying that yes, we should develop, we should do this, we should do that, but the actual, actions speak otherwise. So that is something to be kind of improved, I would say, to say the least.
I totally agree, and the focus should be on investments and not on subsidies so much, and also not on some messing up into the electricity market, and some even economists suggest we should surprise me very much, because given that we don't have enough generating capacity, we depend on the well-functioning common market, European markets, and Baltic market. If we start messing up with it, in this game you have these chairs, and you go around, and there's a whistle, and you need to sit, and then it will be asked that the last chair, so don't mess up with these things.
We should have your chair, yes, but...
we don't have that. We borrowed from Sweden. We need to build our chair.
Yes, so thank you very much, Žygimantas.